Hello. Is it me you're looking for?
Nope.
Oh, wrong place. Never mind.
Bye, Ben. Thanks for joining us.
Better luck next time.
Well, thanks for joining us for this AMA. I hope you enjoyed it.
Oh, wonderful. Somebody has us a little bit too loud. Who's that? Is it me? Could be Yann.
Is it me?
I don't think it's you. I think we're good now. Hello, good evening. Whoa. None of that came out right. Hello, everybody. Good evening and welcome to our live AMA about Godot with Yann. Yann, take it away for a moment while I stuff the rest of my strange chicken curry pie.
And hi, folks. Today we're going to talk about the upcoming Godot course. Ben and I have just had a, 2.5-hour meeting trying to hammer out the details and get everything right. And it's looking really excited. So hi, everybody. While we're here and Ben is stuffing his face with a colossal amount of pie, I can't see the pie right now because thankfully he's turned his camera off. Just hi, how is everybody? So the way we're going to run this is you can absolutely ask questions in chat. Ben prefers you ask questions in chat. He doesn't like reading. I don't know why. He's never liked reading.
By chat, you mean voice, Yann?
I do mean voice, yes, voice chat, this thing. He hates reading. But if you want to ask a question and you don't want to use a mic, or you can't speak out loud right now, you don't have a mic, or you're shy or non-vocal or a Martian, the way you'll do it is in the chat lounge, you will write a question like this. So if everyone looks in lounge.
Hint is question without any of the vowels in it.
Like that. So question without vowels and then the question. Wrong room, Yann. Brilliant.
Good job,
Thanks,
Yann.
Spectrum.
What
first
is
question,
love? There you
what
go.
kind of
Isn't that
pie?
poetic? So last time we had a question. The last question from the last AMA was from Lorax about C++ pointers and references. We'll see if Lorax is in here today to troll us. Do we have any voice questions, first of all, before we dive in with text questions? Because as Yann said, I hate reading. I don't really. Hey, Mark, I can see you're there. You're going to speak to us? Say hello to everybody?
Hello. Yeah, I'm here quick before I put the youngest to bed. But I think the first question has got to be, for some of us that don't know, what is Godot?
Well, I'm going to be cheesy and say Godot is the engine you've been waiting for, because that's what they say. It is an open source 2D and 3D engine. Well, I'll tell you what we should do. Their website says it as well as anybody. Why would we want to use Godot when we already maybe know Unreal and Unity, I guess, is a lot of people's question. Is that at the heart of it, Mark, or is just what is it your main question?
Yeah, just what is it? I've never heard of it before.
Oh, well, click through to GodotEngine.org and take a little shifty.
Yeah, I hadn't heard of it until about a month back. It's a small, independent, open source engine. It's built by a couple of main people with a lot of community help on Git repos. And it's a really lovely engine. It has separate 2D and 3D rendering. It's because it's fully open source, you own everything you make. So there's none of this, once you get past $10,000, you have to pay us a license, or if you use more and more people, you have to pull more people in. It's your game. And it's lovely. I really enjoy it. It uses a Python-like scripting language, so you don't have to compile stuff. And yeah, it's great. I love it.
Awesome. That's most of the things I like about it. So I looked at it a little while ago, decided it was a little bit too early, but with the advent of Godot 3 and all of Yann's enthusiasm and the feedback Godot got at GDC this year, so apparently, for the previous years, Godot, nobody had really heard of it at GDC, at the Game Developer Conference, but in the last one, suddenly it becomes a thing. So this seems to be the time to get onto it. I really appreciate all the things Yann's been saying about it. The fact that it's a separate 2D pipeline to the 3D rendering pipeline. You probably noticed that in Unity, you're always in 3D, and 2D therefore always feels like kind of a fiddle, whereas something like GameMaker is beautiful and simple for 2D, but doesn't do 3D. Godot has both of those. It can make visuals that are not quite up to Unreal standard, but certainly as good as anything you're going to produce in Unity with some effort. And yeah, really quick to get off the ground. And Python is one of the most compact languages out there. The stats are that about one line of Python is equivalent to about 6 lines of C. So Python is super compact. There's no mess. There's no curly braces. There's nothing in the syntax that gets in the way. Now, GDScript isn't Python, but it's very similar to Python. And so it's just fast. It has no compilation times. In fact, Dan, I'm not sure where Dan M, bless him, wrote, responded with Yann's comprehensive response. But Yann, if you go find and repaste that into Hash Lounge, that would probably be pretty cool, because that's quite a detailed rundown of why it's so good. So thanks for asking, Mark. That's what it is. It's an open source 2D and 3D game engine.
All right. If you don't mind, I'll ask the next question, and it's a two-parter. So you just mentioned GDScript, but it's also implemented C# recently, or fairly recently. Which programming language would this course be on in the of Godot?
Okay, so why don't we ask you what you would like? We've got an idea as to what we want to do, but if you guys go in Hash Lounge and type either GDScript like this, C# or both. If you could just slam in Hash Lounge, GDScript, C# or both, and then I'll answer your question. We'll decide on the spot. We know what we'd like to do, Yann and I, but we need to know that you guys want the same as what we want. So we're getting both, we're getting mainly C#, we're getting both. We're getting both, more boths. Okay, boths. Lots of boths, C#. So I'm guessing the people out there have already invested time in learning C# are thinking, well, why would I learn another language, particularly GDScript that's specific to Godot? Maybe it doesn't feel as transferable, although it's, I would say, probably 60% transferable over to Python. Both. It's easy for you to say both, of course, because we have to do all the work, and you just take all the benefits of doing both. Neither. Oh, neither. Stegler says neither. Cool. All right. Well, you could use visual scripting then, Stegler. There's another option for you, which is another benefit of Godot, is that is possible. Oh, you're Unreal Master. Ah, he's part of the Unreal Master race. Okay, so he's not going to lower himself to Godot or anything else. I get it.
I can't convince that.
We know what you Unreal folks are like.
For the record, if you already understand C#, you can pick up GDScript very quickly. The Python language is not difficult. And honestly, my coding is very rusty. I picked up GDScript in about a week. It's very easy.
Yeah, that's what I heard. The reason I'm asking, when I was looking into Godot, they were mentioning that they were dropping one of their core languages. I thought it was GDScript, but I might be mistaken.
GDScript is the language it ships with. You can also install with the mono installer. It's one of the options you could do if you go to the website, which allows you to code C# in there. What they did do is they had another prime language, which wasn't working for them. They didn't like it. So they shifted to a native language, GDScript, which is their Python-like language. They wanted something with very little garbage collection, something that was very light. And they wanted a dynamic language, not a static language.
Okay, fantastic. Well, my second question is regarding the timeline we're looking at for the release of this course. Is that simply going to be appearing in a beta stage like we have seen it with other courses, or do you plan on doing a Kickstarter for it?
So I'll answer that question for you guys. So firstly, let me finish answering your initial question. So the initial question was, are we going to do C# or Godot or both, or GDScript or both? And I kind of sidestepped it a little bit. I think we're going to do both. I think that Yann's going to teach it in GDScript, because therefore you're focusing on Godot's APIs, i.e., what levers can you pull in Godot, regardless of which language you pull those levers from. And we can focus in the most compact and clear way possible on the algorithms of the game. Then I think the plan will be that I will come in at the end of each section and show you guys who are interested in C# how to convert any given Godot code to C#. Once you've seen that once or twice, I'm pretty confident that you'll be able to follow along in C# even when Yann is writing Godot. Doing that actually would be really good for both your C# and for your understanding of the course, because it really makes you stop and think. So we'd like to think that you can follow along in either GDScript or C#. But I think the mechanism will be we will write GDScript and convert that to C# at the end. How does that sound? In Hash Lounge, please. Does that sound good, bad, or ugly? Hey, that was two bads. Good, amazing, bad, or ugly? Or just good or bad? And then I will get your second question about the release timescale and a possible Kickstarter in a moment, as soon as I pull up the timescale on another machine.
We literally just finished doing this as well, so well done.
We did. I want to make sure that we go with what we agreed.
Yes.
Rather than making some rubbish up. Would I do that? So,
Yann will finish the course by tomorrow. No.
No. Good. Sounds good. Good. Hi, everyone. I'm new here. Hello, Unreal Ninja, new here. Okay, so, and I've got some text questions we're going to do in a minute. So let's talk about timelines. For our lifetime members, those of you who joined during one of our Kickstarters in the past, you'll be getting an initial access to the first half an hour plus of content at the end of this week. Next week, rather. Not this week, because the end of this week is upon us. Depending where you are in the world, the end of this week has already happened. So the end of next week, so to be more specific, that's sort of Saturday, what is it? 21st of April. So the lifetime members will be there. Now, if you are not a lifetime member, how do you become a lifetime member? You can't right now become a lifetime member, so you'll have to wait. But what I do suggest you do is you follow me on Kickstarter. Now, don't get this confused. The reason I'm saying follow me on Kickstarter is not because we're necessarily doing a Godot Kickstarter right now, but there is a Kickstarter coming very soon. And if you follow me on Kickstarter and you're interested in the Kickstarter that does come shortly, it's a secret project, nobody knows what it's going to be, then during the Kickstarters, we offer lifetime membership, and that just gives you access to all our content forever. So obviously the price of that goes up over time, but there's a bunch of lifetime members. Hey, lifetime members, say hello in the lounge. There's got to be some of you there. Just say, hey, I'm a lifetime member, and it rocks. So lifetime members will be getting access this week, but it'll be very small amount of content, but we'd love it if those people would take the content as Yann produces it in our normal flow. So then the next circle of people will be the mail list. The best way to get onto the mailing list is to get onto, to sign up on our website. And we will, at the bottom of GameDev.tv, as linked in Hash Lounge, sign up at the bottom right there. And we will, as it's a brand new course for the first time, we will announce it to the mail list. And we will be doing that around about the 3rd week of May. So we're shooting for the 22nd of May. And at that point, there'll be at least 2 hours of content in the course. So that's the second way to get it. Beyond that, keep an eye out on social media and then eventually Udemy. So basically, the more kind of in bed with us you guys are, the earlier you get it, the more you're able to steer the content and get involved early. Plus the prices will be cheaper and etc. So does that answer that question? Quite a long answer to the question. What I haven't answered is the Kickstarter. There was also
a question about Kickstarter.
Yeah, so we were not kickstarting initially, but the initial course is going to be focusing on the 2D elements of Godot, and it'll be a small course. There is a possibility that in Q3 of the year that if people are loving Godot and they want more, there's a possibility we'll go to Kickstarter to ask you to help us fund Yann being able to work on this full time, and then to be able to bring it into the 3D realm, which is there's a huge lack of content for 3D Godot out there. We'd love to do that. That would be a huge commitment from Yann to do that, to make it up to one of our large, 30, 40, 50-hour courses.
What I'd be looking to do if we went to 3D was not, how do you make a crappy thing? But, okay, I want to dedicate my full time to this to show you how can you make a high-quality, really good, I could sell this right now on Steam kind of game. And that, I want to do that properly. I don't want to just throw it in between classes.
Awesome. So I'm going to take actually, I'm not Gromp. If you don't mind, I'm not going to answer your question straight away. It's tempting because it's there, but other people have asked earlier, and they've asked using QSTN. So if you could just ask you to rephrase your question, Gromp, with QSTN in front, then it'll come up in my search on the right-hand side of the screen, and I'll get to it in a moment. So, benefit of Godot over other engines, Unreal, Unity. Let's just give you a couple of real quick ones then. Over Unreal, knowing Unreal as I do, it would be it's free, so Unreal's royalties are not cheap once you if you make a successful game and it starts making a lot of money, then you're going to be shelling out a lot of money to Unreal at the end of that. Number 2, with Unreal, you have to wait for everything to compile unless you're using a visual scripting language. If you want to use a written scripting language, you've got to wait for compilation, which takes time. Unreal is also very heavyweight to get into in the first place. Incredibly powerful, heavyweight to get into. So it's simpler and faster than Unreal. Compared to Unity, it's free. So Unity is not free. You really, to get the best of it, need to be paying from the word go. You certainly have to be paying when your revenues get over $100,000. So it's completely free compared to Unity. It also, another benefit over both Unity and Unreal is it has a genuine 2D rendering pipeline built in. So when you're working with 2D, you're using an engine or part of the engine that is designed for 2D. Tapped Out Dev says, is it worth giving up on Unity for Godot? No, it's not worth giving up on Unity, but it's always worth adding a third system. I think that 3, if you're learning languages, a second language can be an uphill struggle, but a third language, typically things start, in terms of spoken languages, things start to slot into place. Same with game engines. Once you get to your third game engine, you can really see game engines for what they are. You create a pattern. 3 dots in a line makes a pattern. It confirms.
Can I also just go back one on the advantages of Godot? So because of the way it's being made, because it's an open source thing with a lot of community input, very, very well curated, but lots of people working on projects, what you'll do is you'll get an update and all of a sudden, oh, we've just added tile maps in. We've added auto tiles. We've added grid maps. Grid maps are 3D auto tiles. In the next version of Godot, they're going to add sketch map functionality. So you can just directly download a sketch map, press a button, and it'll make the collision mesh for you. So really agile and lean community.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Yann. So no, don't give up on, and never give up on any engine. Just for each project, pick from your repertoire of engines that you are skilled with, which one you feel like is the best place to start based on how much experience you have of that engine. So don't give up on anything, but certainly give Godot a try. Which leads very nicely into Ari's question, which is, how light is Godot compared to Unreal or Unity? I've just downloaded the Godot installer on my Mac, and I was a little bit shocked.
Amazing.
See that
He went,
what,
there's got to be something wrong. This thing is only 25 meg. I went, that's the engine. It can't be. That's the engine. Well,
Yeah.
where does it install? No, that's the engine.
literally 27.1 meg unzipped on my Mac. So
It's amazing.
yes, it's lightweight in that respect, in size, and because it's that small in size, it must open and run fast because there's only that much data to load. Will it on a low-end laptop run, super high-end visuals at 1,000 frames a second? Of course not. That is impossible. But as an engine to use Ari, it's going to be fast, very fast compared to the others. Just look at the executable size, 20-odd meg. So when will the course be close to completion? Gromp, I don't know if you know how we work, but the course will grow in response to the amount of feedback and desire we get from you guys. When will it be finished? Well, ideally, this is how it rolls. We late May, stroke early June, it goes out to social media, and then shortly after that to Udemy. If the 2D content is really successful, we'd like to do a Kickstarter in quarter 3. So therefore, the course will be finished at the earliest at the end of the year, because it takes us a long time to get to the tens of hours. But so it depends how far it goes. It could be finished as early as sort of June time. It could be as late as the end of the year, possibly early into next year. So don't wait. The point is, don't wait until it's finished. Be there as we create it, and there's no disadvantage to that, right? We will aim to ship into the course as fast as possible, so you're not waiting for anything.
Yeah, and there's no end of stuff we want to cover in this course. Like, it's a really fun, there's so much stuff you can do with it. Ideally, we'd like to get to the stage where it's the size of something like the Unreal or the Unity course, but there's no point promising that unless we have the people involved. So get involved, tell us how it's going and what kind of thing you want to see next, and you can help steer that direction.
That's one of the keys, absolutely. The only time that our production gets interrupted, like with the complete Unity Developer 2, you'll notice that when we are producing, it comes out pretty hard and fast. Between sections, there's often a delay while we make sure that we've got the next section planned and lined up really well. And we don't do that ahead of time because we want to make sure that we incorporate all the feedback from the stuff we've done already. So when you are taking a course that's being produced live, just bear with us a couple of weeks between sections. But apart from that, it should come out as fast as you can take it.
Oh, should we share the thing? Should we share the thing?
What's the thing? What's the thing, Yann?
The curriculum, the syllabus.
Oh, we could share the thing, the curriculum. Let me see if I can do it.
I've got it. Done.
Here he goes. So Yann is sharing a Trello, public Trello syllabus. Hop on there. We'd love to see you over on the Trello syllabus. That would be awesome. I will pull it up on my screen. I'm actually recording this AMA so that we can put it on the new Facebook group. In fact, let's share that new Facebook group with you now as well. If you're not already on the Godot Facebook group,
not on.
I will paste that.
I wanted to ask one question.
Absolutely, go for it.
I have seen the most of the courses, like it's more kind of like a beginner and not really that commercially appealing. Like it doesn't show a lot of the features like a platformer has, like how to make it commercially published game, and making it possible to learn from that and apply and release a commercial game instead of just being a hobby game.
Yeah.
Are you approaching that kind of thing, or like making a complete kind of thing, like which is kind of complete, which is not lacking in features and things, like basically making a full complete game and how to make through it from start to finish?
Yeah, so if we do that, so in general, our courses take a while to get to that point because there's a lot to learn, right, to get to the point where you can do that. All of our courses are heading towards that end result in the long term, but we haven't really fully gone through deployment. We're talking about like Dan DeRocha, who created Cube 2. He may help us with helping you guys with the marketing and deployment. Rick Davidson has plenty of experience with that and also is very keen to start teaching you guys that. So all of the courses will get there eventually. As for the Godot course, it's going to be, if we kickstart it, if it gets to the point where the 2D section's really, really successful, you guys buy into it, you love it, you engage in it, you take it, and you want more, then that's another thing we'd need the Kickstarter for, is to better bring in the resources necessary to do that much. So yes, it could do. I'm not saying it would necessarily be in the same Godot course, but that would be after a Kickstarter. That's the sort of thing, that and deep 3D stuff and extending the engine. By the way, everybody, another major reason to use Godot is because it's open source and you can actually improve the engine. All of the votes we've had on the community site say, hey, how do you make your own game engine? Well, don't make it from scratch. Why not get into Godot and then extend that engine? If there's a feature in a game engine you want, make it for the world and share it with the world. That's the awesome thing about open source. And you're already standing on the shoulders of giants. It's already, the basics already there. You don't have to start from scratch. So.
Not only that, all you have to do is write the word tool at the beginning of a script, and it doesn't run it in your game, it runs it in the engine. So if you need to create a tool that, for instance, I just want to see what the angle of this jump pad is on my platform game, write the script that visualizes it, type tool at the top, and it's just in your engine.
Awesome. Lots of degrees of freedom here. So, Pulse says, will there be any courses in the future where you teach how to make a game from scratch, write your own engine using Visual Studio? So, Pulse, I kind of sort of alluded to that a moment ago. The first step with write your own engine would be to introduce people to Godot and then ask you to consider extending Godot. The idea of completely writing an engine from scratch doesn't make sense to me, because an engine is a piece of middleware. And there's already a lot of good pieces of middleware to choose from: Unity, Godot, GameMaker, Unreal, and on and on. But, Pulse, you raise an interesting question of making a game without an engine is entirely possible. What's the difference? The difference is with an engine, it asks you for the code to run at certain times. It asks you, hey, what's the code I should run on start on all the game objects? What's the code I should run on every frame? If you were to write your own engine or write a game without an engine, you're responsible for the whole execution loop. And there are some benefits there, and some very simple types of games may benefit from not even having the weight of an engine, the financial weight, the learning weight, the technical weight of an engine running there. So yes, that's something I would like to do, but the first step towards that is to just talk about extending an existing engine. But yes, eventually we'll get to the point where we teach you guys how to make things from complete scratch, but only as a exercise in improving your coding and your understanding of hardware and how things work. It's not really, for most people, a particularly practical long-term solution to be writing things without an engine. Now, there have been some good examples, and I'll find a good example on Steam for you in just a second.
And another question, like I see most of the time you guys, whenever you make a character controller for 2D, I'm kind of more interested in the 2D stuff, because Godot is mainly featured as a 2D more than 3D, which 3D has been added later. But I've seen like for character controllers for like the movement or things like that, you don't really tend to use kinematics or those explain those algorithm and maths about the slopes and things like that. Do you plan to actually explain those kind of things in Godot if you make a platformer or kind of those kind of things?
Yeah, so check out the syllabus Yann shared on Trello. It's a bit further up in the chat. I'll reshare it into Hash Lounge now. We have got plans to talk about a 2D platformer. If you want that content now, by the way, without Godot, go look at the Unity course. The latest section of Unity, Tilevania, that Rick is starting to ship aggressively next week, has got a lot of 2D character control, ladder checking, jumping, grounding, hitting enemies, all sorts of stuff about 2D. And so that is in the Complete Unity Developer 2. Take a look at the Trello syllabus. That is on its way into the Godot.
And by all means, in student ideas, put in your comments and things you want to see. The short answer is, from what I understand of your question, I do want to talk about different ways we can do controllers and things, but I might be slightly misunderstanding what you mean. So if you don't see it in there, write it in or contact me here, and I'll do what I can to make this as complete as I can.
So let's deal with the pronunciation thing, Yann, now. So this is killing everyone. In fact, I'm going to put a poll on the Facebook group, and then I'll share the URL of that poll over here for everybody.
So here's the thing.
In fact, Yann, why don't we do the poll first? Because I think we know the answer. Being cultured British people,
there is no answer. Go for it. But
was that? No, I'm not going to give
it's
the
like
answer.
GIF and GIF. No, go for it.
How about we make the poll and then see what people say, and then hold them a bit of suspense, and then give them the answer or what we think the answer is. How's that? I'll make the poll. What are the questions? Yann, grab another question while I type this poll up.
Okay, let me find the questions. I don't have these filtered. Oh, no. I want to make sure in more or less.
What does Godot mean? Well, that'll come straggler with the...
Well, I can tell you what Godot means. It's a reference to a play. It's a reference to a play by Samuel Beckett. Originally written in French, translated it into English. He was an Irish playwright who was bilingual. And it's called that because it's the engine you're waiting for.
And I got another idea if you want to hear about it.
Go for it.
There is no like a isometric kind of tutorial online, and I don't know is it in demand or not, like a isometric world kind of thing. By using
Yeah, actually, Godot has really nice functionality to change Cartesian coordinates into isometric coordinates, and it would be something worth playing with, actually. Yeah. Ooh, I need to figure out what kind of game to put that with. But yes, I would like to play with that.
like a RPG tactical kind of games, like those old kind of things, I mean, like
Yeah,
3D
turn-based thing or
party,
something. Yeah, absolutely. I'll look at that. I didn't have that planned, but it's not a bad idea. For those who don't know, the problem with working with isometric is you program in, okay, when I press D, for example, move along the x-axis, but you're not actually moving on the x-axis, you're moving diagonally, and so you need to translate those. Godot will just do it. There's a function that will translate Cartesian, which is up, down, left, right, into isometric.
And also for the platformer, instead of making a plain platformer, you can make a beat them up all type of those kind of thing, where you punches and do combo system, which would be a lot of people interested in, because most of the tutorials that show you the basic, and there's a lot of tutorials that just shows you how to do it. And if you do that, I think as a kind of selling point of view, that may attract more customers to buy your course.
It's a good idea. It's also, we like to encourage people, and you'll know this from our other courses. Here's the base things. Go the extra mile. Here's where you can find that information. So for people who just want to be, how do I move a sprite? Here's how you do it. But once we've taught you the basics of how do you create a variable for health, how do you create an attack, and all the rest of it, now try and put an attack in the game. That's totally doable. You could easily turn this into a beat 'em up.
Thanks for that suggestion. I'm going to put in Hash Lounge now where you can put that suggestion on the Trello board. There's a student ideas cards at the top of every lane in the Trello board. You're talking about probably the 2D game, so the Heistmeister's game. So I'll give you a link to that now.
Yeah, he's probably talking about the Hoppy Days, actually.
Is he?
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm getting the names wrong.
And another question, like are video links, for example, games are encouraged, or you just write in just regular like words?
I'm sorry, I didn't catch the question. Say that again.
Basically, there is already games which you can see the video, how the gameplay plays. You post the video in student ideas, or you write in words instead of posting the link.
So are you asking if on our Trello syllabus you can be adding links to videos and stuff?
Yeah, it's just instead of posting like the
yes, no, you can do that. You can put
words.
links in there. And I think if it's a YouTube video, I'm not sure if Trello currently parses it, but you need to be a Trello member to be able to contribute to the cards rather than just see them. But sure, you can link us off to video. That's really helpful. That helps us to understand what you're talking about better than words can ever do. So yeah, awesome.
All right, I don't have the question thing filtered, so let me do that.
Yeah, I'll do another one as well.
Go for it.
Oh, we've got a few. Wow, here you go.
You do it. You're better at this.
Well, hold on. So does Godot support FBX, blend, obj, etc., or only some of them? I don't know, Ari, the current state of play, Yann. I don't know how much you know what that you do. Okay, so you let us know what you
OBJ is done natively. There is a push in the community right now to bring in .blend and the other one, my mind has just gone blank. I think that in the asset library there are tools to do it. If not,
FBX, I think, is the one you were looking for.
FBX, thank you. I know OBJ is just drag and drop. That works just fine.
Okay, cool, awesome. So blend can be cool. It can be cool to have a Blender import system like in Unity, where it basically, Unity, the way that it does that is it actually has to have Blender installed on your machine, and it basically uses Blender as a library to do the conversion on the fly. That can be super handy, but as Yann says, OBJ is already there, and I'm sure FBX will come soon because that's a kind of industry standard one. So what does Godot mean? Well, Stegler, to know what Godot means, you need to go over to the Facebook group and vote on how you pronounce it. And then when we'll come back to that towards the end of this.
However you like. Sorry.
However you like. No, we think there's a reason. Mikey's here. Hey, Mikey. OBJ is just a text file, so super compatible. Welcome, Mikey. So Mikey, of course, will be helping us all out with getting models across and the whole 3D side, should we get that far with it. So Jenny says, how does the Steam version differ from what you can download on this site? I can give you a bit of, I've done both. I've just uninstalled it on Steam. So on the Mac, at least, if you want to be using mono, i.e. C#, then you can't do it with the Steam version. Secondly,
that's true in all three versions.
That's
if
true
you want
across platform.
You have to download it from the website. Otherwise, Steam is fine.
Awesome. And the other thing I'm finding with Steam is that the disadvantage of Steam is that every time you open Godot, it opens Steam first, and then anything that Steam wants to do, like update or check your security credentials or whatever, has to happen before you can open Godot. So I would say that it's slightly easier to install it on. No, it's not. Just install it off their website directly, I would suggest. And you may as well go for the version that has mono built in, so that C# is an option for you if you have any interest in that. So hopefully, Jenny, that answers your question. Any other voice questions before we get on to Dario Santos's question about how difficult Godot is to learn?
I got a few again.
Go for it.
Does Godot support like bone-based animation too, or just about Illustrator kind of thing, like sprite-based?
So
I'm having trouble hearing on the mic. Say that again.
Yeah, I was having trouble with that. I think you were saying, does it support things like Adobe Illustrator? I can stick my neck out and say it won't directly open, I'm sure, Adobe Illustrator files being a proprietary format. I think that you'll find it has format. It'll definitely have compatibility for bitmap files. Whether or not it supports what class of vector graphics it supports, I don't know. Yann, do you know if SVG is already in there or coming soon? Jose Moreno is saying soon.
I'm pretty sure supported because I've been using them. Bitmap is obviously supported. Anything that is proprietary, so MP3, you would have to convert to something else, and anything by Adobe, you would have to convert.
No, I was asking, like, does it support bone-based animation, like Dragon Bones?
Yes, it absolutely does. In fact, there are two separate animation systems for 2D. There's Animated Sprite, which is just drag the sprites in, put them in the order, tell it how long to be on each frame, and play them. And then there's Animation Player. The Animation Player in Godot is amazing. You set up keyframes and tweens. So if you've ever done any animation, this is very familiar. And you can just do, okay, so move to this position on the sprite. Easy. But you can also animate position, size, scale, functions, visibility, collision. Anything you can do in the exporter, you can animate in the Animation Player. It is a really robust tool.
And also the IDE will be using is Godot Custom or Microsoft Visual Studio for that too.
Oh, there's a lot of, when you're talking, there's a lot of, it's almost impossible to hear. I don't know whether it's clipping or whether it's the air going into the mic. If you could just try again. So you're asking about the IDE?
The IDE, yeah. We'll be using the built-in IDE, but there is a preference where you can switch it to a different IDE if you want to. That's not a problem.
Okay.
Awesome. I see Dario Santos and Bashar Abdullah are both asking now to join the Godot Facebook group, which is great. So,
yep,
well,
got it.
Actually, I think that was the 2D art group, but all good. Okay, next question. Here you go. So, how well is Godot supported by first-party manufacturers Nintendo, PlayStation, and Xbox? Says the O-Time.
You can buy the what's it called? The library, the license for the consoles. You can't use them for free. So apparently, it is trivial. From an interview I was listening to from some dev, I can't remember which one. It's trivial to convert the code on there to use with PlayStation, Xbox, etc. But it is not available out of the box because you cannot get that license for free. That was it.
Okay, awesome. Is it difficult to learn Godot? Won't be when we finish with it. Our whole raison d'etre, or Yann, I'm sure Yann would say that with a better French accent. Voilà. Is to make things easy, so it won't be by the time we finish with you. So, next question I can see is from Spitfire. Do you want to grab that one, Yann?
Which one is it?
Okay, I'll ask it. I'm still in the process of completing your Unity 2 course. Well, good job. We're still in the process of making it. Being that prior to this course I had no experience in game development, is doing Godot course a sensible next step? Yes, absolutely. Why not? So if you had no prior experience, then Unity to Unreal and maybe a big step. So Godot would be a fantastic sideways perspective gaining, experience gaining option for you. So yes, I would definitely check it out in your particular case.
Frost says, what's the best way to upload a model created in Blender to Facebook? I'd say on the internet. Ben, what do you think?
Yeah, so the best the internet. So if Blender and Yann, Mike, if he's still listening in, may know whether you can put Sketchfab into Facebook. So when you are trying to share a 3D model, my first question would be, can you use Sketchfab.com to do it? You can certainly do that on our community site. So let me just see if I can find that link. There you go, Sketchfab.com. So take a look at Sketchfab. You can certainly use that on our community site. Whether you can use it on Facebook or not, I don't know. You probably can. I'll do a quick Google for you.
Yes, you can, Ben. Yeah, you can. It now supports it. 2015, I think it was.
Awesome. Thank you, Mark. So use sketchfab.com. Upload your model there. Share that model on Facebook that way. Go look at our Blender course community. Is anybody sharing on like that way on the Blender course community yet, Mark?
I believe there has been a few on there. They're few and far between, but they do work.
Why don't one of you awesome Blender guys go share a model on there just to show how it's done? But that's the Blender course community group, and that's going to be your best way if you want an interactive model. And who wouldn't want an interactive model at the end of the day?
And I got another question.
Go for it.
I was wondering, like, would you be at any point showing some kind of animation tool, like basic animation for 2D stuff? Say there is a free tool available online called Dragon Bones, and which is really nice. It does do the same thing as Spine or things like that. Is there any plans to do any kind of free software available for animation tools?
I mean, I certainly plan on linking to the kinds of tools, but I won't be doing a tutorial on those tools in this course unless it becomes vital, just because it will explode. I mean, if I start doing that and then do Audacity and then I do everything else, then we will never actually get to make the game. There's so much content in those things that I think the best thing I can do is link to those communities and show you where those tutorials are.
Again, there's the pre and the post Kickstarter ideas here, right? So pre-Kickstarter, we're trying to get you a simple course off the ground. If the course is really successful and you guys keep saying, we want more, we want more, we want animation, deployment to platforms, shipping to stores, 3D, etc., then that may be where we go back to Kickstarter and go, well, if we want all that, then Yann's got to quit his full-time job, really focus on it, and therefore take it.
Which I want to do, by the way, so let's make this work.
Let's make it work.
Stegler, any games made on this I may have heard of? It's quite a new engine. The biggest one I know of is Deep Sixth, which I can link to you. Most of the other ones I've seen are either in production and aren't out yet, or a lot of mobile games. Deep Sixth is a game, it's loosely based on some old board game, I think. Basically, you're alone in a ship that's falling apart, and you have to keep fixing it while it's falling apart. It's quite a cute little game.
Awesome. Thank you, Yann. So I'm going to get you guys a few more things to follow while we're here. So if you want to see code that's coming out, then also take a look at our relevant GitHub profiles. Yann, I don't know if you've got your GitHub profile link there, but I'm just going to share mine.
Not on me.
In Hash Lounge. If you guys have got, and I'll see if I can find that for you as well while we're here, Yann. So mine will show you all the stuff. Now, it doesn't show you my contributions to prototyping, but in the individual organizations, you can see what I'm up to under prototyping. But it does show you all the actual kind of course content that comes out. I'm also going to find you Yann's profile. And
another question.
Mm-hmm.
Go for it.
I was wondering, like, between Unity and Godot, regarding the 2D, being which one is more user friendly as in a beginner point of view, or like which would you prefer?
That depends on how you ask. I mean, I bounced off of Unity quite hard. It took me 3 or 4 attempts to get into it. Godot just clicked with me, but other people feel differently. Really, that's down to personal preference. Godot is not a difficult engine to use, but to be honest, neither is Unity. I don't know if Ben feels differently to that, but that's certainly my answer.
What I'm going to suggest is that because Godot is a genuine 2D, has a genuine 2D rendering pipeline, one of the things about Unity that's confusing is that everything's in 3D and you're having to pretend you're in 2D when you're actually in 3D. So in that respect, Godot is going to be more naturally fitting 2D than Unity.
That's a very good point.
So that's an important thing to consider. With most of these things, it's a question of trying it. You know, we'd like to think you guys have at least 3 engines under your belt, some knowledge of them, and then that you can maturely pick between them for a given project. Frankly, what matters the most is that you get your projects done in something. We're just trying to give you options as to how you get started.
One nice thing that Godot can do, by the way, is you can render 2D and 3D at the same time. So making mini maps is incredibly simple.
No, I was just asking this question because I haven't really seen any good games or anything that is like good titles that are coming out from Godot. So that's why I was asking about that.
Fair enough. Let's see. Ari, is Godot usable from a USB stick? Maybe. I have not tried. That's a good question. Ben, there's a homework project for you.
Yeah, good question. So it would be on the Mac, I can tell you straight away, because it's just a Mac package. So on the PC, Yann, I suspect it unpacks mainly as a executable. You may have some registry issues on the PC.
It does unpack as an executable. I don't know what it does with the registry. I haven't actually looked. And I suspect
yeah, I'd stick my neck out and say yes on PC as well at that size.
Yeah, I would imagine so.
Somebody asked about games that are out in Godot. There's a Godot showcase on their website. There's a lot of examples there of things that are there. Now, whether there are Godot games, bigger Godot games, that you guys have heard of, what the biggest Godot games are, let's have a look and see what we
Deep Sixth, because I look at that page a lot. I suspect in the next couple of years you'll start seeing it, because a lot of medium-sized indie studios at GDC this year were talking about switching to Godot, and it's going to take about that amount of time to get out.
Yeah, so we're getting ahead of the curve a little bit here.
Godot can run Doom. Almost certainly. You'd have to rewrite it, but I couldn't see why it wouldn't run Doom. I mean, I think my phone can run Doom.
Absolutely. You could create something of the visual fidelity of Doom in Godot, no problem at all. It's
you could probably do Unreal 2004.
Pretty well in Godot. So.
Yeah, the 3D render, actually, I have to say, is coming along really nicely. With the new version, 3.02, they've added a whole bunch of stuff, and there's more effects coming, like HDR. If you know how to use normals and reflection mapping, and they're going to start putting light baking in, you can make some stunning visuals. Jenny asks, how cross-platform compatible is Godot? Incredibly. It's simple. When you go to export, what are you exporting to? Are you exporting to Android, iOS, HTML5? What are you doing? That's it. That's what you have to do.
Yeah, Android, iOS, there as default. Windows, Mac, Linux, there as default. HTML, as Yann says, there as default. So absolutely not difficult. Although always with a multi-platform game engine, not difficult to click the button and deploy to a platform, much harder to make a game that works well on that platform. So remember that from the beginning, the game needs to be designed for the platform. Think of BioShock. Even those people couldn't convert BioShock from PC to mobile as well as we would all like. So always design with your platform in mind.
So this one's easier to do cross-platform than the other engines?
No, I wouldn't say that, but it's just not any harder.
Okay.
It's just similar. A lot of these engines, cross-platform engines, are roughly the same. You know, you have to choose a build target. You have to test it with that build target. One of the things that gets you with all of these is that, say you take Unity or Godot, any of these, and you're trying to deploy to, say, iOS or Android, that's where you get a bunch of incidental complexity. So if you're trying to deploy to iOS, you're going to find, for example, that you have to have your certificates signed, and you have to have your general iOS and Xcode development system set up. So for iOS, you're going to know something about Xcode to actually get this thing deployed properly. And for Android, you're going to know something about Android Studio. So those are the sort of incidental complexities that come in. And so that's why we won't cover mobile deployment in this course. We are going to need to create separate courses eventually for the general principle of cross-platform mobile deployment. One course for Android, one for iOS. And then when we do that, those courses will apply to Unreal, Unity, and Godot. So
a good rule of thumb is try to program for your target audience and not try to make one generic thing for everything.
You want to make any game or indeed any product you make as accessible as possible. Make it as easy as possible for people to give you money, right? So in Godot, for instance, there's a bunch of ways you can anchor your UI on screen size. So if you're developing a game that you want to run on HTML5 and on Windows and on Linux and on Android, then you need to make sure that everything can move around the screen. If you just want to make a first-person shooter that can run on Linux, Mac, and Windows, you don't have to worry about that as much.
Okay, thank you.
But you do need to think about the control scheme and how fundamental to the gameplay experience the control scheme is. So
Yeah,
Absolutely.
you want to make sure you understand there's a difference between being on the web and being on a native, although it's not as big a difference, but there's quite a lot of difference between being on a desktop and being on a mobile, for instance. Mobile is the one that's really quite different. You know, you've always got your finger over the screen, you're dealing with touch gestures. It's fundamentally a little bit different on mobile. Things can translate. You know, you can use Unity's cross-platform input manager or Godot's tools or Unreal's tools and put virtual keyboards and stuff, virtual joysticks rather, on the screen and use those to navigate around a first-person world, for example. But you're going to need to reduce the degrees of freedom. You're going to need things like auto jump. So if you take a game where, you know, you generally do little jumps to get up on a block like Minecraft or a puzzle game like Cube, then on mobile you're probably going to want auto jump, because the hassle of jumping all the time is just not worth it. You're just going to want the character to jump on its own. You're going to need to think about the control scheme is going to be the biggest difference between those things. The other thing you're going to have to think about is the marketing and the price point of the game. So if you're trying to sell a game on Steam for £15 to $50, whatever your price point is on Steam, tends to be higher. And then you come out and think about, well, how am I going to sell that on mobile? Well, the Android people tend to like paying roughly nothing to start with, and the iOS people don't like paying much either, but a pound or two, you know, that sort of area. So you've got to look at how that comes across and how you're branding the value of your game. So I would pick the platform you're most likely to win on to start with and focus on that platform. Build out to other platforms later if you're successful.
Yeah, the key danger that people do when they're making cross-platform games is not taking into account how that platform feels different. Gaming on even a very good smartphone is a very different experience from sitting down in a comfortable chair with a mouse and keyboard.
Yeah, I've actually played games on both PC and Mac, and I could tell a difference. Even though they're the same game, there's slight differences between the two.
Right. It's like when people make movies based on video games, right? If they try and rewrite it to fit the movie, it'll probably work. But if it's just like, here's Super Mario, now he's in a movie, well, no one's going to watch that.
Okay, so we should loop back to how do we pronounce this thing. So over in the Facebook group, in fact, I will do you guys the service of just as it was an hour ago. Wow, nearly an hour ago since I posted that. I'll do you the service of posting in Hash Lounge now, the Facebook poll. If you're not already on the group, request to join. If you're already in one of our other Facebook groups, then you'll be able to join automatically. So
Speaking of pronunciation.
So pronunciation, Yann, what do you suggest? So we just see what. Oh, hang on. I've posted to the wrong thing. Let me give you a different poll. Give you the right poll.
So
no
while he's doing that, the short answer is it really doesn't matter. It is based on a play by Samuel Beckett. Samuel Beckett was an Irishman who was writing in French. In French, we say Godot. The English say Godot. The Americans say Godot. And you can also say Godot. It's like GIF and GIF. What would you like to say? I know Ben doesn't agree with that.
So how would the French say it, Yann?
Godot.
Ah, let's not say it like that. That sounds silly.
Exactly. So why are you asking?
So then, next best, how do the English say it? So no preference.
They say it like this. I'm sorry, this is my country now. Here's a flag.
Okay, cool. All right, so let's say it like that. That's the newer pronunciation.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, I think it's quite funny.
It honestly doesn't matter. I've noticed that because I've been living in America for 11 years, I teach theater. When I say Godot, which is how I learned to say it, and the Americans are going, you mean Godot? I'm like, sure.
Okay, so it doesn't really matter how you pronounce it. I'm going to go with Godot. Waiting for Godot.
Yeah, whatever makes you comfortable. If you want to say Godot because it has a robot icon, that is absolutely fine. There is nothing wrong with that.
Hey, but the tie-up they probably might be missing is that the whole point is that it's a game engine you've been waiting for. And what's the Samuel Beckett tie in there? Yeah?
And the Samuel Beckett play is Waiting for Godot, which is a fantastic play in which, and I'm quoting the first review of the play, nothing happens twice. It's just two guys sitting there waiting for someone who never shows up.
Cool. So I think we're probably getting to the point where we want to wrap this up. I've recorded this. I want to keep the recording relatively tight. So thank you everybody for paying attention to this. It's been awesome. If you want to be the very first to hear about the course, then hope that you're already a lifetime member. If you want to take some steps towards becoming a lifetime member, then the only way to do that is during our Kickstarters. I'm going to give you a link to my Kickstarter profile. Follow me on Kickstarter. Join Kickstarter and follow me, and watch out. There'll be something coming on Kickstarter, not relating directly to Godot, but there'll be something very exciting coming there soon. And the next way to do it is to go to the GameDev.tv website and to sign up to the mail list at the bottom of that, and I'll give you a link to that in just a second. It's just GameDev.tv. Scroll down, sign up there, and the only thing we announce on that mail list is brand new courses, basically. And as this is a new course, we'll be doing that. And then if you do that on the mail list, you'll be getting access to the course in May, in late May.
Obviously, you know, I'm going to try and keep you guys in the loop. If you have any questions, thoughts, comments, suggestions, interpretive dances, or jingles, I'm on Discord most of the time. Just come find me.
Yeah, I've noticed that. If Yann's not on Discord, the server must be down. So
basically,
so enjoy Yann's presence here on Discord. I don't dive in as often as you know. I always dive in very short notice. It's just how I roll when it comes to Discord, trying to focus on making courses for you guys is what I spend most of my time doing. It's been awesome to have you. Thank you very much, Yann, for making the time to join us and, well, to make this happen.
Thank you, Ben, for making the server.
Yeah, thank you for Jose Moreno for the suggestion about advertising ourselves on the official Godot Engine group on Facebook. We are talking to Godot. They're very excited about us doing a course because if we say so ourselves, we do these courses. We actually have
a conversation with Remy next week, I believe, at some point. Won't we? I don't know when that is, but we do.
It'll be soon. So, all right, guys, awesome to see you. Thank you very much, and we'll see you when the next random event happens.
All right, speak to you soon, guys.
See ya.